Frank Vogel fired by the Suns, who, of course, got swept by the T-Wolves. Reported front-runner for the vacancy. Sounds like it's about to be a done deal, as Mike Budenholzer also reported Lakers candidate to replace Darvin Ham. So, Keyshawn, your reaction to this news about Vogel and Budenholzer?
It'd be funny if we get Frank Vogel back to the Lakers.
Are you advocating?
He won a championship. It seemed like a better team with him.
What year was that?
Man, a couple years ago when we won in the bubble. Man, stop it.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. It's still a championship. The championship's a championship.
In the bubble, huh?
Yeah,
But-
in the bubble.
It's just
At Disney World.
Man, be quiet. The NBA, I don't understand the NBA and how they do this coaching stuff. Now, Frank Vogel, Budenholzer won a championship. A year and a half later, he was fired.
Yeah.
Sent packing, right?
Same for Vogel.
Then Vogel wins a championship. A year and a half later, he sent packing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go out and you hire his replacement in Milwaukee in Budenholzer. And then Giannis don't like it and you fire him. Then you bring in Doc Rivers and you get bounced. And now Frank Vogel comes and he has a job in Phoenix and the new pieces that he got to put together and try to figure it all out. They say, no, you're not the guy for us. We're going to go get the guy that was fired in Milwaukee because we like him better. It's crazy. But a lot of times, the way that I look at some things when it comes to owners and decision makers, they spend a lot of money. They don't screw up the businesses that they got and earned the money from.
No.
They never screw that up.
No, that's why they had
Be
the
able
money
to buy the team.
Yes.
But the moment they get teams, the first thing they do is go, yeah, I can talk to my buddy Jack and Daryl and Frank and ask them what they think, and we can just play with this because it's our billion-dollar toy, and I got so much money, I don't care. And then I can start to do this and that. Now, there's players that are held accountable in these situations as well. You got star players that didn't give you anything. You know, you got Kevin Durant on the team, and he's moved around. And, you know, we talk about LeBron James and the coaches that he done had in his career. You just look at Kevin Durant's situation, and I look at that, and I'm like, damn, Kevin been through some coaches, too.
He has.
In his career.
Yeah.
But it's so ironic, though, the coaches that he's been with that have gotten fired, they really ain't got no jobs no more. So when I can go down a long list, now PJ, obviously, that was way back in the Seattle days, but he doesn't coach anymore. Scott Brooks he had, but then he left. And then Scott Brooks eventually, he had Billy Donovan eventually. Billy goes to Chicago. You know, Steve Kerr is obviously a made man. Kenny Atkins and Jacques Vaughn and Steve Nash and Jacques Vaughn, none of them is head coaches right now. So you kind of look at it and you go...
So would you call him a coach killer?
No, because the coaches...
I mean, everywhere he goes, the coaches are gone.
Yeah, but the coaches don't get hired again. Monty Williams got hired again, right?
Yeah.
He really the only one, other than Billy Donovan. You know, Steve Kerr never got fired. So it's like, is it the player? Is it the coach? Or is it a combination of the coach and the owner hiring the wrong coach?
It's always about the scapegoat when you're dealing with a player of the magnitude of Kevin Durant, because you expect championship or bust with him. You know, and a lot of us put him on the same boat as LeBron. You know, and that's why when you're not successful and you're considered one of these generational players, it's not the generational player's fault. It's the owner, it's the GM, it's the coach. And most of the time, the scapegoat is going to be the coach. No, well, it wasn't he. He averaged 30, and he made the All-Star team. He was in the MVP talks, but they didn't win. You know what? That's the coach's fault. And it's every time. But Vogel, I'm going to tell you what, Vogel got the best job in America right now. You know why? Because he can sit at home and collect.
He don't want to collect. He want to work.
Man, you can sit at home and play golf every day and make $7 million.
He's a coach, and he's a young coach. He's not an old, crusty coach.
Somebody say, hey, man, go home. We give you $7 million.
He's a coach. That's
like,
what they want to do.
But somebody tell you, Keyshawn, go home.
It's not about me. It's not about me. Because we can have an off-camera.
He signed a 5-year deal for $31 million and got fired in the first year. And so,
But I can guarantee you, within the next 24 months, he's going to be trying to look for another gig. He's a coach.
True.
That's what they do.
Well, now you're making the case he should return to Lakerland, right?
No, that's not.
No, I ain't say he should return. I'm just saying the last time we had some success at the level that we like, he was our head coach. And I'm not suggesting that to happen. The only time I can remember coaches returning back to the scene of the crime was Billy Martin did it like 3 times.
Like, you know what I don't get?
That's just crazy stuff.
You know what I don't get? A lot of this
That's
is put on the
Steinbrenner,
coaches.
just lunacy.
Yeah, and I was a kid then.
Yeah.
A lot of this get put on the coaches, but I think more of it should get put more on the general manager. Because the general manager puts you in the position like, here's the players I'm giving you. Because think about this. Since Vogel got there, they traded, who they traded? Cam, Mikal Bridges. They traded a team that went to the finals.
They did.
Yeah.
This team already went to the finals.
Yeah.
And that was on the owner and the GM.
Yeah, but that's what I just said about the owner in what's his name?
Ishbia?
Ishbia, yeah.
Ishbia got all this money, and you went and you just gonna all of a sudden dismantle what was already in place, as you like to say, Paul, is right there, and all you need to do is push the start button and let it cook a little bit, and then eventually it'll be done.
But this is what they do. When new general managers come in, or say new owners, they want to make their mark.
Yeah.
They want to say this is what they did. So they're like, look, I brought this coach in.
Wrong deal.
I brought these players in under my regime.
I get that, but this is not...
Most of the times, you're going to fire the coach as a new owner every time.
That's true.
Every time.
But this is not, and I'm taking it to my sport, this is not the Dallas Cowboys. This is not a bad football team when he took over and bought it. Like Jerry Jones took over, and the coach was older, and he wasn't getting the same results. And he says, hey, man, we love you. I know I'm going to take some heat, but I got to remove you from the situation, Tom Landry, and all your friends, because I want to start so I could be successful. 2 years later, or 3 years later, they win in Super Bowls. This was you just said it, an appearance in the NBA final prior to him buying the team. So there was nothing to do except 1 or 2 players and tweak it. You didn't need to get rid of coaches, and you just didn't need to do all that.
Okay, but this wasn't about James Jones making those moves. It was about Matt Ishbia.
Yes.
He played for Izzo at Michigan State as a walk-on, but he had some college basketball. And he's a fantasy basketball player, and he walks in and says, hey, wait a second. I can get Kevin Durant for this, and then, wait, I could get Bradley Beal and bring him in, and I'm going to have Book and Beal and KD. Are you kidding? Well, he did that.
Yeah, it sounds great, though. It sounds great, though.
And the names is wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds great. And you owe Bradley Beal like $50 million a year for the next 3 years, and it looks like he's on his last legs.
But to his credit,
seriously,
before this team set foot on the court, when you looked at that, you was like, oh, this team can win the championship.
Sure, I did.
So I mean, to his credit.
Because we didn't see the finished product. We all assumed it was going to be good. And they were going to make another move to get a rim protector and a this and a that, and it would be fine to get some depth.
But I liked what they had with CP3. I know he was on his last legs or near the end of his career. But with DeAndre Ayton, I don't know, what they had last year with Book and KD and DeAndre Ayton and CP3, that worked.
I thought they should have kept that together.
So here's the basketball thing, and you can answer this for me, Paul. So now, Frank Vogel was a defensive-minded coach that knew defense, supposedly, right? He's supposed to be a defensive guy that had offensive firepower, so he didn't really need to tweak with that or mess with this. Now rumor has that you're getting ready to hire another defensive-minded coach in Budenholzer. So you're getting ready to duplicate the same thing? You're getting ready to literally duplicate the same thing.
You can argue they're kind of the same guy.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You can.
So you're possibly getting ready to do that?
Even in personality, they're kind of the same guy. But go ahead.
It just makes me scratch my head. What are you doing as an ownership group and a general manager that you remove a guy for maybe the players that like him or whatever?
The thing that's unacceptable, and if I put myself in the ownership shoes, the thing that's unacceptable, if I put together some star power such as the Phoenix Suns with the big three they have, and you get swept in the playoffs, something's got to happen. Something's got to change, because I guarantee you, if they lost in 6 or 7, this wouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? But when you get swept, That's telling me, like, maybe the coaches don't know what they're doing because you got KD, Book, and Bill. You should be able to get one or two games.
But who did they get swept against?
Minnesota. But you should, with that firepower, don't
Minnesota
matter.
right now, sweeping.
No, they're not going to sweep.
No, right now, they got the broom in their hand and the dustpan sitting in the corner.
At home.
At home.
They do.
Up 2-0 against the defending world champions.
Yeah, but do you remember Phoenix pushed Denver to 6 games?
I'm not talking about that,
But
though.
they
I'm just saying.
You should get 1 game out of KD, 2 games out of KD, Book, and Bill in any situation.
You say that based on the names, but if you're going up against a bigger team in Minnesota with a firecracker of a player that's all of a sudden just hitting where he ain't even scared of what's going on. Ant-Man.
I get it. But as an owner, if I got KD, Book,
I understand.
and Bill,
Yeah.
I should be able to squeeze out 2 games. And if I can't squeeze out no games, somebody's going to take the axe.
You from 1 to 2 now.
Scapegoat. You got a scapegoat. Yeah.
Period.
But I think it's just wrong.
So, Keyshawn, to your point, when I first heard this news, I sat back and thought, so Frank Vogel coached your Lakers to a championship 4 years ago.
You counting that?
Well, that's okay.
Wait,
that's
be quiet.
You know what? That's my point. Because I think the league is not counting that because now Frank Vogel has been fired twice in 4 years after he won a quote-unquote championship, right?
Fired twice in 3 years.
Well, however you want to look at it. Yeah, I mean, but it's been 4 years since the championship. And in that 4 years, he's now lost 2 jobs. And it's because the league looks at what you did in the bubble as Mickey Mouse. That's what it is. They're just saying that's just Mickey. We don't even count that.
No, they're not looking at it that way. They're looking at it as he doesn't have Anthony Davis and LeBron James, so he can't win. That's what they're looking at.
Yeah, but he had them, and even the Lakers said, we're done with it.
Yeah, but I don't know what I guess. I don't know. I felt like they should have never got rid of the dude, but whatever. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Well, where do they go from here?
Yeah, well, I mean...
man, Suns will get Budenholzer. Where does Frank go? So you think Frank should go to the Lakers?
No, I don't think so. I just, they would probably never do that. They probably would never do that. It's just the guy that we had the most recent championship success with.
Okay, so your Celtics assistant was on that list, and now he went to Charlotte, okay? And where are you left? There's no Budenholzer. Budenholzer was by far the most qualified candidate on your list, right? So now what?
I don't know that he was the most qualified.
Well, I mean, he's got a championship.
Are you basing it just solely on the championship with Giannis and Middleton and that whole group?
Well, he did it.
I'm just saying, you basing it on that.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, who else? Who else is a made man on your list? I don't see it.
I don't know who's left, man, to be honest with you. I really don't. And I don't think that the Lakers got rid of Darvin Ham without a plan. I just don't think that's the case. Maybe in the end, it's J.J. Redick. Maybe in the end, it is J.J. Redick. And they kind of letting things simmer down because it was heated when his name was being mentioned. People was starting to, like, what are you doing, you know? So maybe you bring it down. These other guys are coming out and going to other teams because they probably really feel like there's not a real shot at getting the job based on the information that's out there.
I know the commissioner does not like bombshell stories sort of upstaging the playoffs right now. So it's one thing to fire somebody, but it's another thing to announce we have hired so-and-so. So it's possible that the Lakers have their guy, and they're just waiting until...
Charlotte just announced they hired them. Maybe that's why y'all lost. They was focused in on y'all assistant being gone. You think that was it?
No, he's there throughout the playoffs.
But he probably was focused in on getting a job and didn't prepare properly.
Oh, man, you come up with the damnedest thing, Ski.
Left them speechless, nothing to say.
I am speechless. I got nothing to say today. Y'all got me today.
Unfortunately, Keyshawn, you have nothing to say about your next Laker coach because you don't know who it is.
I don't. Maybe we can give Jay Wright a whole bunch of money to come to the pros and move from the East Coast.
It sounds like the NBA world is saying nobody wants to coach that guy in L.A., that guy. I'm talking about the guy, that guy, right? Yeah.
That's a tough job right now. Toughest job.
But here's the deal, man. That's not true because there's nobody available. Who's available? Like, who's available? If somebody could become available.
Yeah, but that's why you had to hire Darvin Ham, because nobody else wanted any part of this. And Darvin,
Well, who was available a year ago?
Yeah.
Who was available?
I mean, I'm tired of the NBA recycling these old coaches anyway. You know, it's time to start giving some of these top assistants some opportunities that
Microwave. They do it in the NFL too, so it ain't
they
nothing.
gotta start recycling all these coaches.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.